Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Today we doing just some quick hits, some stuff that I found just to get some videos out. Now you see the title. Mm, this is so sad. Everything that party represent is against God. That's all I got to say if that's what you believe in. Let's hit it.
Delta Township supervisor since 2008 resigned Tuesday. That's after the Eaton County prosecutor filed charges against him, accusing him of using a dating app to try and meet with a 15-year-old boy.
A few moments later,
a man facing felony charges has been reelected as Delta Township supervisor. Ken Fletcher got 89% of the vote.
So the town supervisor was.
This is Nate, the lawyer.
15-year-old boy is facing felony charges, and the town re-elects him with 89% of the vote. Let's talk about it. This is Democrat Kenneth Fletcher from Michigan. He's the supervisor of Delta Township in Michigan. Now, being in charge of local government, he has a huge amount of trust in the community. Okay, so now to understand what's going on in this township, you have to understand a show called How to Catch a Predator. Not all the predators I catch are interested in young girls. Some, like this guy in the bright orange shorts, lust for young boys. So the first things first, they set up a decoy on an online dating site, and that decoy pretends to be a 13 or 14-year-old boy. Tetra posted a pic of a real 13-year-old boy on social media, hiding the boy's identity for his protection. Within 20 minutes, Velez contacts the boy we're calling Jason. He tells Velez he's turning 13 in a week.
You okay that I'm younger?
Yes.
Like 13 years old younger? LOL?
Never chilled with a young guy before.
Then they set up a meet. The person then comes over to meet the kid for sex, and police arrest the predator. Our garage cam captures the arrest by the Fairfield cops. Velez appears to be shocked that he was busted. Now, the shocking part about this series is that they catch people from all walks of life, from assistant district attorneys, school teachers, you name it, they've caught them. But now police agencies are just doing this on their own because they're like, hey, this is very effective. You can just go online, pretend to be a young kid, and they'll come to you. The perps will actually come to you. So the good people in Michigan decided, hey, let's set up our own to catch a predator sting operation. So they set up their How to Catch a Predator, and they pretend to be a 15-year-old boy. And next thing you know, they're talking to the township supervisor on Grindr.
He's facing 2 felony warrants in Eaton County. That's after Eaton County investigators say Fletcher communicated with an undercover decoy on the app Grindr. While the app is supposed to be used by adults, on the other side of the conversation told Fletcher she was a 15-year-old boy. Documents continued to talk with the decoy sexually and non-sexually, eventually agreeing to communicate by text message on his cell phone.
They go out there and they, see if individuals want to communicate with people who are posing as underage, boys or girls. In this particular case, that's exactly what happened, and after that that exchange occurred with the defendant in this matter, police reports were prepared and they were sent to my office for review. After I reviewed them, I made the determination that I believed that a crime had been committed, and so the individual that you speak about, the defendant Ken Fletcher, was charged with 2 counts.
The warrants were authorized for Fletcher's arrest Tuesday afternoon. He was arraigned in a Charlotte courtroom this morning, and he faces 1 count of using a computer to commit a crime and 1 count of accosting a child for immoral purposes. Fletcher, who authorities say is just one of several people they caught in this sting, was released on a $5,000 bond.
Now, as you can imagine, Fletcher was arrested and charged with those crimes you just heard about. But he had to also resign from his position as head of the township.
Continuing with breaking news, News 10 has learned that longtime Delta Township Supervisor Ken Fletcher has been arrested and arraigned on felony charges. The charges include one count of using a computer to commit a crime and one count of accosting a child for immoral purposes. Documents obtained by News 10 see Fletcher engaged in a chat with an undercover detective with the Eaton County Sheriff's Office who was posing as a 15-year-old male on the mobile dating app Grindr. Fletcher sent enticing messages and expressed he was willing to meet the 15-year-old boy at the Lansing Mall for the purpose of just talking. Fletcher officially tendered his resignation last night.
Now, after the arrest, Fletcher appeared in court where his lawyer said this.
Fletcher appeared in court Monday, where his lawyer spoke on his behalf.
And there's no indication that he ever had an interest in meeting up with anyone who was under the age of 16, given he refused to hear, and they allegedly searched his devices and found nothing.
Eaton County prosecutor Doug Lloyd responded.
Mr. Wickman is being disingenuous when he says that some of those texts did not occur on text message after Mr. Fletcher had been advised that the individual was 15 years old.
Now, in America, you are innocent until proven guilty. So Fletcher is technically innocent of anything. He doesn't really have to resign if he didn't want to, but obviously he did so because the charges are pretty disgusting. Now, because this arrest occurred so close to the election, by state law, Fletcher's name had to remain on the ballot. So what do you think happened? You have a man who is caught up in these horrible accusations about interesting things with underage people online, and his name is on the ballot. But there would be no way in this heavily Democratic county that they would vote in the PDF file.
A man facing felony charges has been reelected as Delta Township Supervisor. Ken Fletcher got 89% of the vote. Fletcher resigned 2 months ago. He's been charged in Eaton County with attempting to accost a child for immoral purposes and using a computer to commit a crime. News 10's Isley Herschel went looking for answers to figure out what happens next since he resigned after he was charged. Here's what she found out.
Ken Fletcher and his attorney were surprised to find out he won the election with almost 90% of the popular vote.
When I heard about the number of votes and the margin, I was pleasantly surprised by that, and I think Ken was too.
Fletcher has until midnight on December 31st to assume office.
He can vacate the office if he does not get sworn in by then. He could get sworn in and resign, or obviously he could get sworn in and stay.
This is crazy.
Fletcher is.
He resigned for these acts, for what he did. I'm in Detroit. This happened in Michigan. I need to edit my title too. I'm going to do that right now. Hold on, let me edit my title. And they put him right back in office. What is wrong with the people? What is wrong? I mean, it's something really wrong with Americans. It is.
Is this the right thing for not just me, but for the community? Am I still the best person for the job?
It's unclear whether or not Fletcher will accept the role.
I'm not Ken. I don't know what his decision is going to be. I just know that really he hadn't given it much of any thought at all.
Yes, people, you heard that. He got reelected with almost 90% of the vote. That's insano stuff. 90% of the vote, he's got 2 felony indictments for these unexplained things with children. And they voted him back in overwhelmingly. So what do you think the good people up there in Michigan are thinking? Now, listen, I understand, a lot of people just vote party, but my God, you couldn't just say, well, this time we're not going to vote the Democrat back in. Maybe people were just so used to voting, they just said, you know what, the heck, put him back in, it doesn't matter. But get this, as a condition of his bail, he can't even use the internet or email. So how can he run the town and he can't even send emails?
Fletcher
Right.
is out on bond tonight And as part of the conditions of his release, he cannot use email or the internet, which would make it difficult for him to be Delta Township supervisor. Nichols is working to get those bond conditions changed.
Now, with 90% of the vote, people are like, well, why doesn't the township board just vote him out? Because they have the ability to vote him out. So this is what the head of the township board said about that.
As for Delta Township, their options vary, from releasing Fletcher from his position and appointing someone new to letting him stay.
We have not made a decision other than we will be acting in some manner in January.
What is there to think about? The guy is essentially caught with these
Right. What is it? Right. What is there to think about? What?
I think they should just make it happen and call it a day and kick this guy to the curb. But you got to also understand the politics of this. He got 89% of the vote, which is not something you can just ignore, right? That's essentially a mandate. He's got a mandate. So what would you do? What do you think these people should do? What do you think about the voters who voted this guy back in knowing this? You know, it's shockingly bad how people can vote in some of the most horrible candidates, even knowing what's going on. Because don't forget, they had 2 months. This was going on 2 months before anybody cast a vote. And all those people, 89% of the people cast a vote, went into that voting booth and said, we want this guy to be back in power. Crazy. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Do like great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'm going to see you in the next one.
That was from Nate the Lawyer. I like his channel. But anyway, let's find out what happened. He got reelected. Bam. This is from the Lansing State Journal. Ken Fletcher won 89% of the vote, but won't take Delta supervisor post amid criminal charges. And this is the man. Former Delta Township supervisor Ken Fletcher, who resigned in September for these child charges and was reelected in November because they couldn't remove his name off the ballot after being charged with accosting a minor, will not take office for another term despite winning re-election November 5th. Fletcher, who stepped down after 16 years as supervisor after being charged with accosting a child for immoral purposes and using a computer to commit a crime, didn't take the oath of office by the deadline. Township Manager Brian Reed said. The supervisor position has been abandoned as no oath of office was taken. The Township Board of Trustees has 45 days to appoint a new supervisor, he said. Officials are expected to discuss the appointment process. The board discussed taking action last fall to appoint a replacement, but did not, in part because of the election. A specific process of course of action has not been finalized. Reed said whoever is appointed to the supervisor position will serve through 2026. Fletcher was unopposed on ballot and received nearly 89% of the vote, or more than 12,000 votes. Mike Nichols, whose law firm is representing Fletcher, said the decision not to assume post as supervisor wasn't an easy one for Fletcher. Ken was really torn. Ken does not feel like he did anything wrong. You chatted with a cop decoy to meet a 15-year-old boy for you know what? You did nothing wrong. He's a minor. Well, it was a decoy. In the end, two things were paramount in his decision, and that was the distraction that his service may cause to the business of the board, and of equal weight, his desire to focus on clearing his name. In November, Fletcher waived his right to a preliminary examination in Eaton County District. He is expected to fight the criminal charges in circuit court. At the time, Nichols and Fletcher was touched by the support he garnered in the election and was pondering his next steps. Police allege Fletcher engaged in sexual conversations on LGBT2 social media Grindr with an undercover detective posing as a 15-year-old boy. The sting operation was run by a regional internet crimes task force that includes Eaton County Sheriff's Office, Lansing Police, Michigan State Police, and Charlotte Police. Eaton County Prosecutor Doug Lloyd has said. Fletcher hasn't commented on the charges or re-election to the supervisor position since he was arraigned on criminal charges. Reed said he has not received any communication from Fletcher. Mary Township Clerk Mary Clark has been serving as acting supervisor since Fletcher resigned. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. I got one more to do. I'm just throwing down on these quick hits so then, because I probably won't go live tomorrow.